There was a time in my life when I looked around a crowded room and still felt completely alone. Have you ever been surrounded by people and felt like no one truly saw you? That's the moment I realized finding the right people isn't about quantity. It's about something deeper, something rare, something real. It's so easy to mistake fitting in for belonging. From a young age, we're taught, often without words, that to be included, we must adjust, adapt, make ourselves more palatable, speak a little softer, laugh at the right time, say what's expected, not what's true. We learn to scan rooms, read energy, become experts at subtly shifting who we are just enough to be tolerated, even liked. We bend ourselves into shapes that feel unnatural, but familiar, because the cost of being left out seems too high. But here's what no one tells you. When you contort yourself to fit into places that were never built to hold you, you lose pieces of who you are. And each time you're praised for how well you've adapted, it reinforces the illusion that the real you might never be enough. Belonging, real belonging, has nothing to do with conformity. It's not about being agreeable or easy or neat. It's not about knowing the script and playing the part. It's not about erasing the edges of your personality so you don't make others uncomfortable. Belonging begins when you stop asking, "What do they want me to be?" and start asking, "Who am I when I'm not performing?" Because the spaces where you truly belong are the ones where you are not required to edit yourself to be loved. You don't have to dull your shine or shrink your ideas. You don't have to hide your sadness, your awkwardness, your wild laughter, your quiet rage. You are not only allowed to be whole, you are invited to be. All of you. Messy, radiant, honest, changing, and still loved. Blending in might give you temporary comfort. It might keep you from standing out, from being judged, but it also keeps you from being known. It builds connection based on illusion, not truth. And deep down, you can feel the difference. You can feel when you're being tolerated instead of welcomed. You can feel when you're being admired for a mask rather than being seen for your essence. There's a subtle kind of tension that creeps in when you're surrounded by people who secretly keep score. It might look like friendship, sound like encouragement, even feel safe for a while. But underneath, there's an edge, a quiet rivalry, a hidden discomfort when things go well for you. It shows up in forced smiles, in compliments that sound hollow, in the way the room grows colder when you share something you're proud of. And for a long time you might convince yourself that this is just the way relationships work, that envy is normal, and that people will always measure your success against their own worth. But the truth is, when you're with the right people, there is no scoreboard, no quiet resentment, no subtle jabs masked as jokes. The right people don't flinch when you grow. They don't feel smaller when you step into something larger. They don't retreat from your joy. They lean into it. They cheer for you without keeping one eye on their own reflection. They don't need you to dim your light so they can feel seen. You'll know the difference the moment you experience it. When someone's eyes genuinely light up because something good happened to you, not because it benefits them. When your wins feel like shared victories, not threats. When your progress doesn't distance you, it brings you closer. Because the people who are truly for you, the ones who love you at your core, they don't view life as a competition with limited seats at the table. They believe that your success expands the table, not shrinks it. And you won't have to tiptoe around your achievements or hide your excitement out of fear it might make someone else uncomfortable. You won't find yourself minimizing your joy so you don't appear boastful. With the right people, you can be radiant, proud, even loud about what you've worked for, and they'll stand beside you, clapping the loudest. We often grow up believing that strength means having it all together, that being admired means being polished, composed, untouched by uncertainty. We build layers of confidence, of control, of charm, to shield the tender parts of us from scrutiny. We show the curated version of ourselves, the one that smiles on command, speaks eloquently, never lets the cracks show. And for a while, that performance works. It earns us approval, maybe even applause, but it doesn't earn us closeness. True connection doesn't grow in perfection, it grows in truth. And truth requires courage. It requires the willingness to be seen in the moments when we feel most unsure of ourselves. It's saying, I don't have all the answers, and trusting that someone will still hold space for you. It's revealing the parts you're afraid make you unlovable, and discovering that those are the very parts that make you human. It's letting down your guard, not because it's safe, but because connection is worth the risk. Vulnerability is not weakness. It's the most radical kind of honesty we can offer someone. Here I am, without the mask, without the filter, without the neatly rehearsed lines. It's showing your scars without apology, speaking your fears without shame, and allowing someone to witness your truth without rushing to fix or judge it. And in doing so, you give others permission to do the same. You become a mirror in which they see their own softness reflected, not as something to hide, but as something sacred. The people who are meant to walk with you will never require you to be invulnerable to stay close. They won't punish you for your feelings or turn away from your pain. Instead, they'll lean in. They'll sit with your silence, honor your complexity, and meet your openness with their own. Because it is in the trembling moment of saying, "This is who I really am," that something shifts, and two people stop pretending and start truly seeing each other. We live in a world that often equates visibility with value. We're shown highlight reels of large friend groups, loud celebrations, constant connection, as if the size of your circle defines the strength of your belonging. And somewhere along the way, we begin to believe that more is better. That if we don't have a full calendar, a buzzing phone, or a crowd around us, then we must be missing something. That solitude is lack, and quiet means we're doing something wrong. But real connection doesn't always come with fanfare. Sometimes it comes gently, in the form of a single text that says, "I was thinking of you." It arrives not with noise, but with presence. The people who truly see you, not just your image, but your essence, may not be the ones with the loudest voices or the most polished appearances. They may not be the center of attention or the ones always calling you out into the spotlight, but they're there, steady, kind, listening, and often they are few, because authenticity narrows the field. When you start showing up as your real self, when you stop performing and start telling the truth, some people naturally fall away. Not everyone will be able to meet you in your fullness. Not everyone will stay when the conversation gets real, when your heart feels heavy, when your joy is too bright or your pain too deep. And that's not a failure. It's a filter. It reveals who is aligned with your truth, not just your image. The right people won't need you to entertain them, to impress them, to constantly be available for their needs while yours go unnoticed. They'll sit with you in silence when there are no words. They'll remember small details you didn't realize mattered. They'll show up not just when things are exciting, but when things are quiet, ordinary, or even difficult. They won't always be many, but they will be enough. It's in these quieter relationships that the deepest trust is built, not rushed, not broadcasted, but nurtured slowly over time. They don't demand space, they make space. And sometimes they come into your life not as a loud arrival, but as a soft unfolding. It's natural to long for closeness, to want someone who understands us, sees us, accepts us without condition. We are by nature wired for connection, but sometimes, in that yearning to be seen by others, we bypass the most important relationship we will ever have, the one we have with ourselves. We often search outward, hoping someone else will reflect back to us the love, the validation, the sense of wholeness we feel we're missing. We chase acceptance, mistaking it for healing. We fall into relationships that feel warm at first, but grow cold when we realize we were never showing up from a grounded place. And so the cycle repeats, connection after connection, each one feeling a little emptier than the last, not because we are broken, but because we have not yet turned inward. Self-connection is about coming home to yourself, maybe for the first time in years. It's not just about self-care rituals or surface-level affirmations. It's about radical honesty, being willing to sit in your own company and face what rises. It's asking, what do I need truly? What do I believe about my worth when no one else is there to reflect it? Do I listen to myself? Do I trust my own voice, or am I constantly seeking someone else to validate my truth? Without this kind of internal intimacy, it becomes difficult to form healthy, sustainable bonds, because when we don't know who we are, we hand that responsibility to someone else. We ask them to name us, complete us, hold us together, and that is too much to place in someone else's hands. It creates imbalance. It leads to connection rooted in dependency rather than mutuality. But when you cultivate a deep connection with yourself, when you learn your patterns, honor your boundaries, speak your needs, and hold space for your own feelings, you stop abandoning yourself in the hope that someone else won't. You begin to show up in relationships from a place of wholeness rather than longing. You are no longer asking, "Will you make me feel worthy?" But instead, "Can we meet each other in our fullness and grow together?" And self-connection isn't a destination. It's a daily practice, a constant returning to yourself. It's in the quiet choices, the ones where you choose peace over performance, truth over approval, solitude over shallow connection. It's in the moments when you sit with your discomfort instead of distracting yourself from it, when you listen inward before reaching outward, when you become your own safe place rather than waiting for someone else to build it for you. There is a quiet pressure that hums beneath so many of our lives, the urgency to belong, to find our people, to settle into a space where we are known and accepted without having to explain ourselves. And that desire is deeply human. But in a world that glorifies instant connection, fast friendships, and constant access, we sometimes forget that meaningful relationships are not manufactured. They are revealed over time. We rush into groups, into circles, into conversations that seem promising at first. We try to skip steps, to speed past the awkward beginnings, and land directly in intimacy. We share too much too soon, or too little for too long. We grasp at bonds before we understand their depth, and sometimes we mistake shared interests or proximity for real compatibility. And when these connections unravel, when people drift, when the energy shifts, when we're left feeling unseen once again, we blame ourselves. We wonder why it's taking so long to find the people who truly get us. But real connection, the kind that builds a tribe, does not announce itself loudly or quickly. It unfolds gradually, like a story you don't yet know the ending to. It requires curiosity, patience, presence, and the courage to be discerning. Because finding your tribe isn't about collecting people. It's about discovering alignment, values, energy, vision, care. And that kind of resonance doesn't happen in a rush. It takes time to witness how someone moves through the world, how they handle conflict, how they hold space for others, how they celebrate your growth or respond to your boundaries. These are the things that can't be known in a moment. They reveal themselves in the in-between, in silence, in subtle gestures, in consistency. There's something sacred about the people who walk into your life slowly, who don't try to claim you, who take the time to learn your language, not just your words, but the tone beneath them. The ones who notice your pauses, who sit beside your storms, who don't need to be impressed because they've already decided you're enough. These people aren't loud about their place in your life. They simply earn it, quietly, with presence and care. And on your way to finding them, you'll likely encounter loneliness. Spaces that feel too big, conversations that fall flat, people who aren't meant to stay. That doesn't mean something is wrong. It means something is refining. The journey itself shapes you. It teaches you how to listen more deeply, how to trust your instincts, how to recognize what love feels like when it's not rushed or conditional or transactional. It gives you time to become the kind of person you're hoping to meet, someone grounded, open, aware, and whole.